So in order to deploy a JavaScript static front-end website to a container app from Azure Developer CLI, we need to make a couple of changes to our Azure.yml file. The first one is this Docker property with a static tag. The static tag allows us to actually work around the AZD order, where typically whatever is packaged up would be ignored on that second build. But this way, by adding this tag, it actually works correctly for a static web app, even though we're deploying to a container app. And then we need to add our hook for pre-deployment. So all the provisioning is done at this time. We know all of our environment variables, and we just need to get those environment variables someplace where we can access them prior to the build. So that's what this is. Going to get the environment variables before the build. So that calls into this guy with a script that just runs a generate.env script. You will notice that .env is a dependency now in order to make that work on the build. And then in the file, I remove any previous .env.local. I generate it with azd env get values. So pretty much it's going to be empty if you haven't provisioned yet, but it will have the environment variables if you have provisioned. And then you will see that it's pretty much every value. I'm not filtering, which I eventually will, but right now it's not necessary just to get it working. But this is the value I'm looking for. And then I do call azd package, which is that build step. And then the build step copies everything over, including that env.local. It installs all the dependencies. It builds producing the .dst folder, which we need. And then we move on from the build layer to the Nginx layer. And when we move from that layer to the next layer, we're only copying over that distribution folder. We're not copying over the env.local. And then we can start it. If we look at what actually lands on the container itself, you'll see that the source code is not available, the env.local is not available. It is strictly just what's needed in order to serve that static front-end website. And then if we look at it, I did a little bit of debugging to help me understand what was going on. The window env URL was the example that's used in this one. It creates an environment.config file, which adds something to the env.local. So I'm testing if it's the old way that's more idiomatic of .NET or Java, if it's the new way that's more idiomatic of the static front-end website, which you can see it is set. And then I do show the fallback URL, and then I print out which one of the three choices was actually chosen. I also print out the version number of the package.json, which helps me understand what actually wound up on the container, what source code actually wound up there. And then you can see that the front end is talking to the back end, which is nice.